Alright, let's go ahead and solve the Go over week 4 self-test, and this is about solving system of linear equations. As you see, this is an equation of a straight line, as well as this one also is an equation of a straight line. Two straight lines either are parallel with no solution, no intersection, or they would intersect at one point, or they would be overlapping where they have infinite points in common. Alright, the system we need to solve using substitution. So we're going to substitute x here in the second equation. So instead of x here, I'm going to put negative 5y plus 5. That's what I did here. And I want to solve for y, because the only variable is y now. So let's distribute this 3. That would be negative 15y plus 15 minus 2y equals negative 2. So now I have, those two are called like terms, so these are negative 17y. Now this one I'm going to move it to the right, subtract 15 from both sides. So those will cancel, but this becomes negative 17. And to isolate y, I need to divide both sides by negative 17. So y would be 1. So now I have y equals 1. I want to substitute either here or here. Let's substitute the first equation. X would be negative 5 times 1 plus 5. And of course, negative 5 plus 5 is 0. And the solution would be 0x, y1. And that would be the first option, A. Let's try the second question. Solve the system by the substitution method. So again, this one, we need to use substitution to solve this problem. And again, I can take y and substitute in the second equation. So let's rewrite the second equation with 2x plus 5. Instead of y, I'm going to write negative 4x negative 10 equals to negative 14. So again, I'm looking at the second equation here. And 2x plus 5y, instead of y, I'm writing negative 4x negative 10, and then equals negative 14. Let's combine like terms. Here we have negative 20x, and we have plus 2x. So that's negative 18x. Again, negative 20 plus 2 is negative 18x. 5 times negative 10 is negative 50 equals negative 14. So I'm going to move the 50 to the other side. I'm adding 50 to both sides. And then I'm going to get negative 18x. Now if you subtract 50 minus 14, that would be 36. It's a plus 36 because 50 is more positive. And if you divide both sides by negative 18, 36 over negative 18, x is negative 2. So we need to find the y now. So again, let's take the first equation where we have y equals negative 4 times x, and x in this case is negative 2 minus 10. And negative 4 times negative 2 is 8 minus 10 is negative 2. So x is negative 2, y is negative 2. So the solution is negative 2, which is D in this case. Let's try number 3. On number 3, we have to use also the substitution method, and we are given two equations. None of them is in terms of y or in terms of x, so we have to figure out which one we're going to use. I'm looking at the second equation. If I solve for y, I would get y equals, moving the 2x to the right, becomes negative 2x plus 8. So I'm solving for y here. Subtract 2x from both sides, you get y equals negative 2x plus 8. Take this y and substitute in the first equation. So you will end up with 5x plus 3y. What is y? Negative 2x plus 8. And then this is equal to plus 3. So notice we have 5x and we have negative 6x. This is negative 6x plus 5x is negative x. Then you have 24, and that's equal to 3. So if I subtract 24 from both sides, I will get negative x equals 24 and 3, we have negative 21, because they're opposite sign, we subtract. And of course, to get rid of this minus sign, multiply both sides by negative 1, you would get x equals 21. So again here, once we find x equals 21, we have to find the y. So again, let's go back to this equation here and substitute x equals 21. Let's find y. So y would be negative 2 times 21 plus 8. Of course, 2 times 21 is 42. That's negative 42. And plus 8. So that would be negative 34. So again, x is 21 and y is negative 34. That would be the B in this case is the final answer. Let's go to the next question. Also, we need to solve by substitution. So to substitute here, oh, it's already done for us. So we have y. Let's move y and substitute in the second equation. Rewrite the second equation. 10x plus, instead of y, I'm going to write negative 2x minus 3. And it is equal to negative 15. See, I'm looking at the second equation, but I'm substituting, instead of y, I'm substituting negative 2x minus 3 equals negative 15. So notice here I have 10x and I have negative 10x. So they will cancel. So I will end up with negative 15 equals negative 15. At this time, I know that the two lines are overlapping and there is infinite solutions. So when the two lines are on the top of each other, how many points of intersection we have? Infinite point of intersection. So again, you can notice that because y equals negative 2x minus 3, if you solve for y in the second equation, you will get negative 10x divided by 5, also negative 2x. And then you have negative, so as I said, you have negative 10x, and then divide by 5, and negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So the two equations are exactly the same. They are overlapping. The solution is infinite. So we don't have an infinite here, but it said dependent xy such that y equals negative 2x minus 3. So that would be the solution. This is called set builder notation, where we have 2 points x and y, where y is equal negative 2x minus 3, like we did here. And that would be the solution. For any value of x, we have y, so that would be the infinite solution. Let's try the next one. On the next one, we are given to use the addition method. And what is the addition method? We add. Because notice, if you add negative 2x plus 2x, that will cancel. If you add negative 10y minus 6y, you will end up with negative 16y. And if you add 54 plus negative 6, you will get 48. Divide both sides by negative 16, and y would be negative 3. Once you find y, you can go back and substitute in either one of the equation. Let's substitute in the second one. So you have 2x minus 6 times y equals negative 6. So that would be 18. So 2x plus 18 equals negative 6. If you subtract 18 from both sides, you will end up with 2x equals negative 24. Divide both sides by 2, x would be negative 12. So we get negative 12, negative 12, and negative 3 is the solution, which is D. Negative 12, negative 3 is the solution. Let's go to the next. Solve the system also by the addition method. So we're going to use also the addition method. And notice here, if you add, it's not going to cancel. But if you subtract, what happens if you subtract? Negative 3y minus 3y would be negative 3y plus 3y, and the y will cancel. If you subtract x minus 2x, you will get negative x equals 3 minus negative 6. 3 plus 6, that would be 9. So multiply both sides by negative, you get x equals negative 9. So again, they want us to use the addition method. So when you add, you can subtract, it would be the same. If you add here, you're not going to cancel any of the variables because x plus 2x would be 3x. Negative 3y plus negative 3y will give you negative 6y. So the only way those 3y will cancel if you subtract. And if I subtract, I'm going to get minus 2x minus negative 3y, and that would be plus 3y. Okay? And that way these two will cancel. Let me show you how I'm talking about. Minus 3y minus negative 3y is equal to minus 3y plus 3y, and that's a 0. That's how they cancel. But you have to subtract everything. X minus 2x would be negative x. 3 minus negative 6 would be 3 plus 6, and that would give me 9. Multiply both sides by negative 1, you get x equals negative 9. Now go back and substitute to get the y. So you have negative 9 minus 3 times y equals 3. So negative 3y, add 9 to both sides. That would be 12. Divide both sides by negative 3. Y equals negative 4. So x is negative 9 and y is negative 4 is the final answer, and that would be A. Solve the system by the addition method. So let's go ahead and do the addition method for the next problem too. And again, notice if we add, none of them will cancel. But here's what we need to do. We need to find the lowest common multiple between 3 and 2, which is 6. So if you multiply the first one by 2, you get 6. If you multiply the second one by 3, you get 6. So let's do it this way. 2 times 3 is 6. So that would be 6x. 2 times 6 is 12. 12y. And 2 times 3 is 6. Second one, multiply by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And now, to simplify, we have to subtract. So let's subtract. 6x minus 6x is 0. 12y minus 12y is 0. 6 minus negative 24 would be 6 plus 24. And that would be 30. So here we have 0 does not equal to 30. That means the two lines are parallel and no solution. So if you notice here, if you find the slope of the first line, which is minus 3 over 6, which is minus 1/2, the slope of the second line, which is negative 2 over 4, which is negative 1/2, they have the same slope, they are parallel, no solution. So here 0 stands for no solution. Since the two lines are parallel, they don't intersect. Next problem. Solve the system by the addition method. Okay, again here, you notice if we add, we're not going to end up with anything that will cancel. The best way to do it again here is to find the lowest common multiple between 2 and 3, which is 6. So we're going to multiply the first one by 3. That would be 6x. 3 times 8, 24y. And 3 times 24. 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 2, 6. And 1, 7. So 3 times 24 is 72, because 3 times 4, 12. 3 times 2, 6. And 1, 7. So we multiplied all terms by 3. That way we can get that 6x. Here, let's multiply everything by 2 to get the 6x. So it would be 6x plus 2 times 5, 10y, and then equals to 2. Now, let's see what we need to do here to simplify this 6x. They want us to do the addition method. Okay, so let me just put the 10y on this side, so that way they'll be the same. So 6x, move the 10y to the right, you will end up with negative 10y plus 2. This would be my first equation. This would be my second equation. Let's do 1 minus 2. Let's subtract this equation minus this equation. So 6x minus 6x would be 0. 24 minus negative 10y would be 24 plus 10y, which is 34y. So we're just adding 24 plus 10. 72 minus 2 is 70. So let's solve for y. Subtract 70 from both sides. You get negative 70 equals 34y. Make sure I did this right. So we have here, multiply this by 3, you get 6x, 24y, and 3 times 4, 12, 3 times 2, that would be 72. The second equation, multiply by 2, you get 6x, 2 times 5, 10y, and this one need to multiply by 2. See, I found something wrong here, so I went back and checked. Okay, so here, that should be plus 4. And now, if you multiply 72 minus 4, you get 68. And of course, that would make it much easier. So let me just fix it. So if you subtract 68 from both sides, you will end up with negative 68 equals 34y. Divide both sides by 34. And 68 over 34 is 2. That means y equals negative 2. So we found y. Let's go back and substitute. Let's substitute in one of them. If you substitute here, that would be negative 20. Move it to the other side would be 20. 20 plus 4, 24. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So x would be 4 and y would be negative 2. So that would be the answer. Let's move to the next problem. Solve the system by any method. So here we have 4x plus 5y equals negative 10. Here we have 3x minus 4y equals 8. Again, the addition principle here is the best one because we can multiply this one by 3, multiply this one by 4. These two become 12, and we can subtract. So multiplying the first one by 3 and multiplying the second one by 4. Let's see what happens here. 3 times 4 is 12x. 3 times 5, 15y. And 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. That would be the first equation. Second equation, multiply by 4. 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times 4 is 16, so it's minus 16y. And 4 times 8 is 32. Notice now we're going to subtract. So 12x minus 12x is 0. 15 minus 16 is plus 16, and that would be 31y. Minus 30 minus 32 would be minus 62. Divide both sides by 31, and then y would be, this is a negative 2. So we got y, we're going to substitute in the second one, or the first one. So that would be 3x minus 4 times y, will be plus 8, equals 8. So this is 8 and this is 8, they will cancel. So x would be 0. So remember, 3x plus 8 equals 8. Subtract 8 from both sides. 3x equals 0, therefore x would be 0. So y, we found y negative 2, x 0, so the point would be 0, negative 2, and that would be A. Next problem. Solve the system by any method. So here we have, okay, substitution, because we already have y being equal to 4x minus 8. Let's substitute y in the first equation. So this becomes 2x minus 3y. What is y? 4x minus 8 equals 9. So we're looking at the first equation, replacing y by 4x minus 8. Okay, so this is negative 12 plus 2x, negative 10x, and this is plus 24, negative 3 times negative 8, and that's equal to 9. Let's subtract 24 from both sides. So negative 10x equals, that would be 15 or negative 15, right? Because 9 from 14 is 5, 1 from 2 is 1, this is more negative, negative 15, divide both sides by negative 10. So if you want to keep this in a fraction format, negative by negative positive, 15 by 5 is 3, and 10 by 5 is 2, so this is 3 halves. So now we're going to look at the second problem. Let's find y. 4 times 3 halves minus 8. 2 and 4 cancel. 2 times 3, 6 minus 8, and that's negative 2. So the point would be 3 over 2, negative 2, and that would be A. Final answer. All right.